The phenomenon of early morning awakenings, where many older adults suddenly find themselves wide awake around 3 a.m., often causes bewilderment. One might lie in the silence of the night, staring at the ceiling, try to make sense of what's happening with their body or mind. In reality, this is far more common than generally believed, and it's not merely a random occurrence or an inevitable part of aging. Early morning awakenings can reveal profound aspects of one's physical state, health, and life experience. This article will explore 5 key factors explaining why people tend to wake up around 3 a.m. as they age. Each factor uncovers something deeper, and by the end, you may gain a new understanding of your own sleep. The explanations presented here go beyond superficial interpretations. They are deeply rooted in physiological processes, psychological nuances, and natural aging rhythms that many are even unaware of. We will delve into hormonal shifts, sleep patterns, potential health issues, and emotional and social factors. We will do this with utmost candor, aiming to inspire and show deep respect for each individual's journey. For anyone who has experienced these 3 a.m. awakenings and wondered, why now? This text will be a valuable resource. What's shared here may not only improve sleep quality, but also deepen your understanding and acceptance of what's happening within your body. Reason 1. Decreased melatonin production. One of the most apparent reasons older adults wake up in the middle of the night, often around 3 a.m., is the natural decline in melatonin synthesis as the body ages. Melatonin is a hormone that helps regulate the human sleep-wake cycle, often called the body's internal biological clock. It plays a fundamental role in both falling asleep and staying asleep. In youth, your body likely produced a significant and steady amount of melatonin each night, allowing for long stretches of deep, uninterrupted sleep. However, as the years pass, the body gradually reduces its production. This shift can profoundly impact one's sleep quality. People can still fall asleep easily at night, especially after an active day or a relaxing evening. Yet by the early hours 2, 3, or sometimes 4 a.m., the natural melatonin reserve may drop to a critically low level, insufficient to keep you in a state of rest. You might find yourself waking not because of a loud noise or a dream, but because your brain is gradually activating, shifting into wakefulness due to the melatonin deficit that would otherwise keep you asleep. This doesn't mean you're doing something wrong or that your body is failing. It simply indicates that your internal biochemistry is undergoing changes with age. Moreover, your bedroom environment can amplify this effect. Even minimal light from a street lamp outside, a blinking clock on your nightstand, or light seeping under the door from the hallway can further inhibit melatonin synthesis. As you age, your body becomes more sensitive to external stimuli, which can make a 3 a.m. awakening even more disruptive. Take Harold, for example, now 72, who always considered himself a sound sleeper. Lately, he's noticed he consistently wakes around 3:15 a.m. He feels no anxiety or worry, yet he's fully awake, as if it's time to start the day. Once he realized this wasn't a personal failing, but a natural, melatonin-related part of aging, he stopped blaming himself and began adjusting his daily habits. He now ensures his bedroom is as dark as possible, avoids electronic screens an hour before bed, and takes a short evening walk to reinforce his natural circadian rhythm. These small changes help signal to his body that it's still nighttime, and while he still sometimes wakes early, he's mastered the art of working with his body, not against it. This kind of awareness can be transformative. When one realizes early waking might not be a personal failing, but a natural biochemical change, they gain the ability to take constructive steps to support their sleep, rather than feeling resentment towards their own body. This is the true power of awareness. It transforms frustration into compassion and helps one make more thoughtful and wise decisions about how best to care for themselves during the night. Reason 2. Sleep cycle shift and advanced sleep phase. Another significant reason older adults tend to wake around 3 a.m. is a natural shift in the body's internal biological clock. This phenomenon is known as advanced sleep phase. As we age, our circadian rhythms begin to shift forward, meaning you might start feeling sleepy earlier in the evening and, consequently, wake up earlier in the morning. You might find yourself nodding off during a late-night movie or waking without an alarm at dawn, even on days you prefer to sleep in. This shift isn't just a matter of habit or choice. It's deeply rooted in biological processes and can become more pronounced with each passing year. In youth, your body's rhythm often aligned with a later bedtime and a wake time that felt more synchronized with sunrise. But as this rhythm advances, your natural sleep window shifts earlier. You might fall asleep by 9 p.m. or even earlier without planning to, meaning your body has already completed its full rest cycle by the time 3 a.m. arrives. This is why you might find yourself wide awake in the middle of the night, feeling fully rested, even if it's still pitch black outside. This doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It simply means your body is now operating on a different schedule. Imagine a clock that has gently reset itself over the years, running a little ahead each season. While this change isn't harmful, it can cause discomfort if your lifestyle, family routine, or personal preferences don't align with this new rhythm. There's also a subtle psychological side to this change. Many older adults live in quieter homes or spend more time in solitude. This peaceful environment can amplify the body's signals for earlier sleep, as there's no constant activity or noise that once might have delayed bedtime. The body system begins its nightly shutdown process much earlier. If you're no longer working full-time or following a strict daily routine, the absence of external time cues, like business meetings, commutes, or social engagements, can make this internal shift even more pronounced. Let's consider Charles, 68 and retired. He often dines around 5:30 p.m. and watches TV for an hour before heading to bed. By 9 p.m., he's typically asleep, and by 3 a.m., his body is naturally ready to wake. He feels no anxiety or stress, just wide awake. Initially, he thought it was insomnia, but once he learned about advanced sleep phase, he understood his sleep wasn't broken. It had simply shifted to a different time. Charles began adjusting his evening routine to stay up a little longer, reading a book in warm light, taking a gentle walk after dinner, and sometimes calling his daughter for a brief chat before bed. These small social and sensory cues helped him stretch his sleep window just enough to shift his wake-up time closer to morning. The result: fewer 3 a.m. awakenings and a deeper sense of harmony with his daily life. This natural shift in the sleep cycle is experienced by many older adults, yet few talk about it. Understanding this can remove much of the guilt or confusion and offer a more compassionate way to work with your body rather than fighting it. So, if you wake around 3 a.m. feeling well-rested, your body might simply be operating on an earlier schedule now. Once this is recognized, you can begin to shape your daily routine in a way that supports your overall well-being. Reason 3. Physical discomfort and health-related interruptions. Another common reason older adults wake around 3 a.m. is the body's reaction to physical discomfort or underlying health issues that tend to manifest during the quiet night hours. As we age, the likelihood of developing chronic conditions or experiencing minor but bothersome health concerns significantly increases. Many of these conditions disrupt sleep without loud or obvious signals. They creep up quietly, like an aching joint, the sensation of a full bladder, or a sudden twinge in the back, and this is often enough to pull one out of a deep state of rest in the middle of the night. Conditions like arthritis, for instance, can make staying in one position for several hours extremely uncomfortable. You might not notice the discomfort when you first fall asleep, but after a few hours of stillness, these pains can accumulate enough to rouse you. For others, nighttime acid reflux can be a culprit, especially if they've eaten dinner too late or gone to bed too soon after a meal. Even something seemingly minor, like dry mouth, muscle cramps, or a slight change in room temperature, can trigger a light awakening in the early morning hours. At this time, the body's protective mechanisms are already more sensitive and less forgiving than earlier. One of the most common physical reasons older men wake at 3 a.m. is the need to urinate. As we age, the bladder becomes less elastic, and urges to void can arise more quickly and frequently. You might not notice this during the day when distractions occupy your mind, but at 3 a.m. in a dark, quiet room, the sensation becomes impossible to ignore. Once you get up and move, even if it's just to the bathroom, your body may have already shifted from deep rest to light alertness, making it significantly harder to return to sleep. There's also the issue of medications, which many older adults take regularly for blood pressure control, heart health, or pain management. These medications often have side effects such as frequent urination, body temperature changes, or increased sensitivity to noise or light, all of which can subtly impact sleep quality. You might not even realize the connection between your medication and your sleep patterns until someone points it out or you start tracking your habits more closely. Take Eleanor, for instance, a 76-year-old woman who always slept relatively lightly. Over the past year, she began consistently waking around 3:30 a.m. After months of attributing it to just aging, she spoke with her doctor and discovered that one of her medications was affecting her hydration levels and increasing her nighttime bathroom trips. With her doctor's help, she adjusted her dosage time, added a few lifestyle changes, and now wakes less often and finds it easier to return to sleep when she does. It's important to remember that physical awakenings don't mean your body is failing. In fact, there's signs that your body is still doing its job. It's reacting, warning, adapting. These signals can guide you toward better self-care, more conscious choices, and a deeper sense of trust in your own awareness. Waking at 3 a.m. might seem like an inconvenience, but it can also be a quiet nudge to listen, check in, and make small adjustments that support better health and deeper rest. Reason 4. Lifestyle habits that shift your sleep rhythm. Another powerful yet often overlooked reason older adults wake at 3 a.m. lies in long-standing daily habits. These are the small routines and choices that quietly retune one's internal rhythm over time. Many older adults naturally begin dining earlier, winding down earlier in the evening, and experiencing less physical activity throughout the day. These seemingly minor adjustments accumulate and can signal to the body that nighttime should begin earlier, inevitably shifting the wake-up time as well. As one's days become quieter, especially after retirement, their body no longer receives the external cues it once relied on, such as commutes, running errands, or engaging in physically or mentally stimulating tasks. Without these signals, the body's sleep-wake cycle can begin to shift forward. A calm, dimly lit evening with minimal stimulation can lead the brain to start producing melatonin earlier. This invites sleep even before you realize the clock has struck 9 p.m. Once you fall asleep earlier, your body simply finishes its rest earlier, waking you in those pre-dawn hours, often around 3 a.m. There's also a subtle connection between meal timing and sleep quality. An early dinner, while generally healthy, can sometimes lead to a drop in blood sugar levels overnight, especially if there's no light snack before bed. This dip might not feel like hunger, but it can still pull your body out of sleep. Similarly, caffeine consumed even in the early afternoon can linger in your system, particularly as metabolism slows with age, subtly lightening your sleep and making you more susceptible to waking from any disturbance. For someone like Walter, 74 and recently retired, these changes happened gradually. His days became less structured and his evenings more relaxed. He found himself dining at 5 p.m., falling asleep in his chair during the evening news, and heading to bed before 9 p.m. most nights. Unbeknownst to him, his entire routine had shifted several hours earlier. Soon, he began regularly waking around 3 a.m., bewildered as to why he was awake even before the first glimmers of dawn lit the sky and the birds began their morning song. Reflecting on his altered routine, Walter gradually began making small but significant adjustments. He added a short daytime walk, started reading under brighter lights in the evening, and consciously avoided napping after dinner. These thoughtful changes helped gently nudge his natural sleep window a little later, allowing his body to fall into a rhythm that more closely matched his ideal wake-up time. It's remarkable how often we underestimate the fundamental power of routine. Our bodies crave order, daily patterns that act as invisible signals, telling the brain when it's time to rest and when to wake. As these vital signals weaken or shift, the internal biological clock can go off course, leading to earlier and more fragmented sleep. However, by carefully noticing these patterns and making thoughtful adjustments, you can gently guide your body back to a sleep cycle that feels more restorative and less disrupted. Reason 5. Emotional and psychological disquiet. Sometimes, waking at 3 a.m. is less about the body's physiology and more about the state of the mind. As we age, deeper layers of emotional experiences, once buried beneath the hustle and bustle of daily life, can begin to surface in the silence of the night. These early morning hours, when the world is still and distractions are minimal, often become the stage where unexpressed anxieties, long-held regrets, or hidden desires begin to stir. You might find yourself lying awake not because of external noise or physical pain, but because your mind is quietly sifting through memories, unresolved thoughts, or subtle worries you didn't even know existed. This kind of disquiet differs from the full-blown, all-consuming anxiety that might strike one in youth. It's quieter, more reflective, and introspective. It might feel like a soft, subtle echo in the background of your mind, a sense that something is unfinished or unsettled, even if you can't quite name it. The mind, when not actively engaged in daily tasks, often turns to old relationships, past decisions, experienced losses, or unspoken words. And because the body is no longer rushing from one obligation to another, there's open space for these thoughts to sound a little louder and more persistent. It's also important to acknowledge that loneliness can play a role here. For many older adults, social circles tend to narrow over time. Children move away, friends become busy or pass on, and familiar routines change. Daytime might be filled with light and activity, but night brings a profound quiet, and with it, an awareness of this emotional void. This kind of loneliness doesn't always feel like a heavy burden. Sometimes it manifests simply as a desire for connection or a gentle longing for someone to talk to when the house is completely silent. Consider Gloria, 80 and widowed. During the day, she's busy tending her garden, calling grandchildren, and watching favorite TV shows. But around 3 a.m., she often finds her thoughts awakening, returning to moments shared with her late husband or worries she carefully keeps hidden during the day. Initially, she believed there was something wrong with her sleep, that it was broken. But over time, she realized her early awakening wasn't about sleep itself. It was her heart asking to be heard, her soul seeking a response. To support herself, Gloria began keeping a small journal by her bed. When she wakes, she sometimes jots down whatever is on her mind. Nothing profound, just a few honest, heartfelt thoughts. She also added a quiet evening ritual, such as listening to calm music or writing a short note to a friend. These small acts of reflection and connection gave her emotions a gentle outlet, calming her mind and helping her return to sleep more peacefully. The truth is, the human heart doesn't follow a strict schedule. It remembers what it wants to remember, asks the questions it needs to ask, and sometimes does all of this at 3 a.m. when everything else around is still. But this is not a flaw or a weakness. It's a sign of the depth and richness of your inner world. If you find yourself waking and feeling thoughtful, it might mean you carry wisdom ready to be recognized and understood. You've experienced joys and sorrows, and this experience shapes not only your memories, but your very sense of self. Instead of viewing these awakenings as something to be immediately fixed, try approaching them with curiosity and kindness. What is your mind trying to tell you? What do you need to give voice to? What part of you needs a little grace and attention, even in the dark? Sometimes the most meaningful kind of rest comes not from ignoring these moments, but from honoring and accepting them. By doing so, you may find not only better sleep, but also a deeper understanding of yourself at this stage of life. Concluding thoughts. As we conclude, take a moment to reflect on what you've just read. What resonated most with you? Was it the shift in your internal biological clock, the subtle changes in your physical health, or perhaps something deeper, an emotional rhythm that only surfaces when the world falls silent in the night? Each of these 5 reasons offers a unique perspective for understanding early morning awakenings, and none of them indicate any malfunction or dysfunction within your body. On the contrary, each demonstrates the remarkable capacity of the body and mind to continuously work, react sensitively, and adapt flexibly as you navigate this stage of life. There is a profound, almost invisible power in understanding what your body is trying to communicate, especially during these silent, pre-dawn hours. Instead of viewing early 3 a.m. awakenings as an annoying obstacle, you can begin to recognize them as important messages, delicate signals urging you to listen more closely to your own needs, ingrained habits, and the deepest desires of your heart. It's important to realize you are not alone in this experience, and you're certainly not the only one seeking answers to these questions. However, with understanding comes inner strength, and with that strength, the invaluable freedom to make small but highly significant adjustments that contribute to better quality rest, a deeper sense of inner comfort, and a stronger harmony with your own biological rhythms. If you recognized yourself in the description of any of these reasons, understand that this is not merely a process of aging, but rather continuous development and transformation. And it is with this development that a unique opportunity arises to approach rest with greater awareness, care for yourself with increased gentleness, and meet each new morning with deep understanding and inner peace.